The boxes landed with a thud on my bedroom floor, my father's face red with anger as he threw the last of my belongings into them. 2 weeks of moping around after losing your job. That's enough. You're 23, Olivia. Time to grow up and stop being useless. I stood silently, watching as he dismantled my life. The engineering books I collected over years, the prototype designs I'd sketched late at night, the small robot I'd built in college, all tossed carelessly into cardboard boxes like garbage. My mother stood in the doorway, arms crossed, lips pressed into a thin line of disappointment. We've given you everything, and this is how you repay us? Getting fired from the only decent job you've ever had? They didn't want to hear that I wasn't fired. I quit. Morton Engineering had stolen my design for a revolutionary solar panel system, and when I confronted them, they'd offered me a choice: stay quiet and accept a promotion or leave. I chose integrity over money, but in my parents' world, that made me a failure. Your brother just made junior partner at his law firm. My father continued, his voice dripping with comparison. Your sister's about to become chief resident at Boston General, and you can't even keep a basic engineering job. The words stung, but I'd heard them all before. Since childhood, I'd been the family disappointment. My siblings followed the prescribed path: law school, medical school, prestigious careers. I chose engineering, driven by a passion for sustainable energy that my family dismissed as impractical idealism. We're done supporting you, my father declared, shoving the last box toward the door. You have until tonight to get out. Find somewhere else to waste your life. As the door slammed behind them, I sank onto my stripped bed, fingers tracing the edge of my latest design notebook. Inside were the plans they'd never bothered to understand. Blueprints for a solar energy system that could revolutionize how we power cities. Morton Engineering had seen the potential immediately. That's why they'd stolen it, counting on my youth and inexperience to keep me quiet. They didn't expect me to walk away. Neither did my parents. I had $3,427 in my savings account, a beat-up Honda Civic, and a dream that nobody believed in. But sometimes that's all you need. My first call was to Dr. Sarah Chen, my favorite professor from college. I need advice, I told her, explaining the situation with Morton Engineering. They stole my design, but I have something better, something they haven't seen yet. There was a pause on the line. Come to my office tomorrow morning, and Olivia, bring your notebooks. That night, I loaded my boxes into my car under my parents' cold stares. My sister Catherine stood in her scrubs, fresh from hospital rounds, shaking her head. You could have had such a nice career if you just followed the rules. My brother Michael didn't even look up from his phone. When you're ready to grow up, I might have a filing job at the firm. I drove away from that house knowing I'd never return, at least not as the same person they thought I was. Dr. Chen's office was cluttered with books and half-finished experiments, just as I remember from my college days. She listened intently as I explained my new design: a solar capture system that could generate twice the power of conventional panels while requiring half the space. Morton has the resources to develop your first design, she said thoughtfully. But this, she tapped my latest notebook, this is revolutionary. Have you filed a patent? I shook my head. I can't afford the legal fees. She smiled, reaching for her phone. Let me make a call. I know someone who might be interested in more than just patents. That someone turned out to be James Wilson, a venture capitalist with a track record of turning innovative green energy solutions into successful companies. He met me in a small coffee shop, dressed casually in jeans and a faded t-shirt. Dr. Chen says you've developed something extraordinary, he said, stirring his coffee. Show me. For the next hour, I walked him through my designs, explaining how my system could transform urban power grids. He asked sharp questions, challenged my assumptions, and finally leaned back with a thoughtful expression. Here's my offer, he said, sliding a folder across the table. Seed funding, technical support, and a team to help develop and patent your technology. In return, I want 30% equity in whatever company you build with this. I opened the folder. The number made me dizzy. Why? Because true innovation doesn't come from following rules, he replied. It comes from people crazy enough to believe they can change the world. Within a month, Titan Industries was born. We started in a small warehouse space, just me and 3 other engineers who believed in the vision. I worked 18-hour days, sleeping on an air mattress in my office, pouring every ounce of energy into proving my family wrong. The first prototype exceeded all expectations. The second attracted attention from major energy companies. By the end of our first year, Titan Industries had secured contracts with 2 major cities for pilot programs. I never changed my phone number, but my family never called. Through mutual acquaintances, I heard their dismissive comments. Of Olivia, she's doing some little startup thing. It won't last. They didn't know that their useless daughter had just closed a $50 million funding round. They didn't know that the waste of potential they kicked out was now employing over 100 people. They didn't know that the disappointment they dismissed was revolutionizing the energy sector. But they were about to find out. 5 years after being thrown out of my childhood home, I sat in my corner office on the 30th floor of Titan Tower, reviewing acquisition proposals. My assistant, Emma, knocked on the door. "Ms. Bennett, your brother's law firm just sent over an urgent meeting request. Wellington Industries is trying to acquire Morton Engineering, and they need Titan's approval since we hold key patents that Morton's been licensing." I picked up the folder, a smile playing at my lips as I read the details. Morton Engineering, the company that had tried to steal my first design, was now desperately trying to avoid bankruptcy. Wellington Industries, one of my parents' biggest clients, wanted to buy them out, and they needed my signature to make it happen. "Set up the meeting," I told Emma, "but don't tell them who they're meeting with. Let them think they're seeing a junior executive." The usual conference room. I shook my head. "No, book the main boardroom. And Emma, make sure there are cameras. I want to remember every moment of this." I stood at the window of my office, watching the city skyline shimmer in the morning sun. In just 2 hours, my family would walk into Titan's boardroom, not knowing they were about to face the daughter they'd thrown away. Emma appeared at my door. "They're here early. Your parents, brother, and the Wellington Industries executives are all waiting in the lobby." I smiled, adjusting my tailored suit. Let them wait. 10 years ago, they made me feel small. Today, they can experience what that feels like. 15 minutes later, Emma's voice came through the intercom. "They're in the boardroom. Your father's getting quite agitated about the wait." "Perfect. Let's begin." I took the private elevator to the executive floor, my heels clicking against marble as I approached the boardroom. Through the glass walls, I could see them, my father in his expensive suit, my brother shuffling papers importantly, my mother sitting rigidly in her chair. They all looked exactly as I remembered, just older and somehow smaller. The room fell silent as I walked in. For a moment, nobody moved. Then my father's face went pale, my mother's hand flew to her throat, and my brother dropped his pen. "Oh, Olivia," my mother stammered. I took my seat at the head of the table, enjoying the weight of their stares. "Welcome to Titan Industries. I believe you're here about the Morton Engineering acquisition." My brother recovered first, his lawyer's instincts kicking in. "There must be some mistake. We're here to meet with Titan's CEO." "You are," I replied calmly. "I founded Titan Industries 6 years ago. Those patents you need, I created them. That technology Morton's been licensing. Mine. The signature you're desperate to get. Also mine." Mr. Wellington, a gray-haired executive who'd known my family for years, looked between us in confusion. "Bennett, you never mentioned your daughter was." Because they didn't know, I cut in smoothly. They were too busy calling me useless to notice what I was building. My father stood up, his face flushing. "Now see here, Olivia." "No, you see here," I interrupted, my voice sharp. "You're in my boardroom now. You need my approval for this acquisition. So sit down and listen carefully." He sat, looking like he'd been slapped. I opened the folder in front of me. Morton Engineering is worth approximately $50 million now, down from $300 million 5 years ago. Want to know why? Because they built their success on stolen technology, my technology. But they could only copy my old designs. They couldn't replicate my new innovations, the ones that made Titan Industries worth $4.2 billion. My brother's jaw dropped. My mother gripped the arms of her chair. "Wellington Industries wants to acquire Morton for $75 million, I continued. "A fair price for a failing company. But here's what you don't know. Titan has already made an offer through a subsidiary, $100 million. "That's impossible," my brother sputtered. "The paperwork was filed this morning. Morton's board has already accepted. I just wanted to deliver the news personally. Mr. Wellington stood up, straightening his tie. Well, it seems we've wasted our time. Bennett, you should have told me your daughter was a competitor. He didn't know, I said, allowing myself a small smile. He was too busy telling everyone what a disappointment I was. As the Wellington executives filed out, my father finally found his voice. Olivia, we should talk about this. As a family. Family? I laughed. You threw me out, said I was useless, told me to stop wasting my life. I stood up, gathering my papers, wanting of something interesting. The day you kicked me out, I had just walked away from a promotion at Morton. They offered me a 6-figure salary to keep quiet about them stealing my design. I chose integrity over money, something you never understood. My mother reached for my hand. I pulled away. The Morton acquisition will be announced tomorrow. Their offices will be cleared by the end of the month. And that building? I pointed out the window to Morton's headquarters. It's being renamed Titan Tower 2. I'm going to put my name right where everyone can see it, including you. But were your parents? My mother whispered. No, I replied quietly. You're just people who happen to share my DNA. Parents believe in their children. Parents support dreams. Parents don't throw their kids out for having integrity. I pressed the intercom. Emma, please show everyone out. And cancel my dinner plans. I'm celebrating tonight. As security escorted them to the lobby, I heard my father's angry voice. She can't do this. She's just Just what? I called after him. Useless. A disappointment. Keep watching. I'm just getting started. That evening, I sat in my office, looking at old photos. One showed a young girl holding a homemade robot, beaming with pride while her family looked away. Another showed a college graduate with engineering honors, standing alone while her siblings received lavish graduation parties. My phone buzzed. A message from Dr. Chen. Saw the Morton acquisition news. Congratulations, you proved them all wrong. I smiled, remembering her faith in me when no one else had any. Want to help me design something new? I texted back. I'm thinking bigger this time. Her reply came instantly. Always. By the way, your parents just called me, asking about your company. I told them what I tell all my students. True success isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. I looked out at the city, at the buildings now powered by my technology, at the lives changed by my innovations. In the end, getting kicked out was the best thing they ever did for me. It taught me that sometimes you have to lose a family to build an empire. The next morning, every major newspaper carried the story. Titan Industries acquires Morton Engineering in $100 million deal. The articles mentioned my age, my innovations, my journey from startup to billion-dollar company. Some even dug up the story of how Morton had tried to steal my original design. My family's phones rang constantly as their social circle buzzed with the news. Their friends, their colleagues, their country club acquaintances, everyone knew that the daughter they dismissed as useless was now one of the most successful CEOs in the city. I received hundreds of messages, including dozens from relatives suddenly eager to reconnect. I archived them all except one, from my young cousin Lisa. I want to be an engineer too, she wrote, but everyone says I should do something more practical. Would you meet with me? My reply was simple. Come by my office tomorrow. Bring your dreams and ignore anyone who calls them impractical. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about breaking the cycle. It's about showing others that it's okay to follow their dreams even when no one believes in them. As for my parents, last I heard, they drive a different route to work now. Apparently, they can't stand seeing my name on the side of 2 downtown buildings. But I made sure the letters were extra large just in case they ever look up.